All right, today we're going to crack open what I'm calling the modern Indian money playbook. What we'll do is connect the dots all the way from the government's huge economic plan to some really savvy overseas investments and even a super clever tax hack for getting your dream car. Really, this is all about building a wealth strategy that works for the rules we have today. So let's dive in. It really all boils down to this one big question. If you forget all the old advice for just a second, how is wealth really being built today, like right now? To figure that out, we've got to start big. I'm talking macro level big, and then zoom all the way down to the personal stuff. And that big picture? Well, it starts right here with the country's economic blueprint, the union budget. I mean, think about it. Before you can make any smart money move, you have to know which way the wind is blowing, right? And this document? It's basically the weather forecast for the entire economy. So, for this part, we're looking at the analysis from PRS Legislative Research. Now, you might be asking, why are we starting with a dry government budget? And it's simple, really. This thing sets the rules of the game we're all playing. It's like a cheat sheet that tells us where the economy is headed, what the government wants us to do with our money, and maybe most importantly, what it's going to tax more. Okay, if there's one number you need to take away from this whole section, it's this one. 10%. That's the projected nominal GDP growth. In simple terms, that's the growth of the entire country's economic output, before you account for inflation. Just think of it like the speed limit for the economy. A number like 10%, that tells you we're on a fast-growing highway, and that means more opportunities for all of us. So where is all this government money actually going? Take a look at this chart. The thing that should immediately jump out at you is that huge slice of the pie, 26%. More than a quarter of all government spending is just to pay interest on old debt. I mean, that's more than we spend on defense, way more than on building roads. It's a massive fixed cost that really shapes a lot of the other financial decisions the country has to make. Okay, now we get to the part that hits our wallets directly. First up, income tax slabs are staying put, which is good. It gives us some stability. But you've got to look a little closer. See, they're extending tax breaks for financial hubs like IFSC. At the same time, they're bumping up the tax, the STT, on stock options and futures. And then they're reducing the tax, the TCS, on money you send abroad for things like education. You can literally see the government using these little tax tweaks to nudge our money towards some things and maybe away from others. And you know what? That last point about sending money abroad, that's our cue. The government is basically signaling that money moving across borders is a huge part of the modern economy. So let's do what smart investors do. Let's follow the money and see where it's flowing on the global stage. All right, section 2. When we talk about Indians investing internationally, there is one place that has become an absolute hotspot. You guessed it, Dubai. Let's really break down why this city has become such a critical piece of the modern money playbook. And honestly, this one side tells you pretty much everything you need to know. Just look at the rental yields. That's the annual return you get from rent on a property. In Dubai, we're talking a solid 8 to 12%. Now compare that to major Indian cities where you're lucky to get 2 to 4%. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. It's not even close. But here's the thing. It's not just about that amazing yield. It's a powerful combination of factors. First, and this is huge, your rental income and any profit you make selling the property, completely tax-free. Second, you've got a super stable currency that's pegged to the US dollar, so it's a great hedge against the rupee fluctuating. And finally, the UAE just makes it incredibly easy for foreigners to own property, and they even dangle the carrot of long-term residency with their golden visa program. It's the whole package. Okay, so that's the big global play, but listen, the real lesson here isn't just go buy property in Dubai. It's about a mindset. It's about finding assets with the best returns and the most favorable rules, wherever they are. And you can apply that exact same thinking without ever leaving the country. So let's bring this playbook back home and talk about something really tangible, something a lot of us dream about. Which brings us to section 3, financing your dream car. Yeah, let's talk about one of those ultimate I've made it purchases, a luxury car. But we're not just talking about buying a nice vehicle here. No. This is a masterclass in how savvy people use financial rules, especially the tax code, to their absolute advantage. Now, I know exactly what you're thinking when you see this. A 3-crore G-Wagon for just 80-something lakhs? Come on, that sounds like total clickbait, right? Impossible. But it's not. This is a real, legitimate strategy, and the whole thing hinges on understanding one single key financial concept. And that magic concept is depreciation. Now, we all kind of know what this is, right? A car loses value the second you drive it off the lot. But here's the trick, the part that matters. If you own a business, the government actually lets you count that loss in value as a business expense. What does that do? It reduces your company's profit on paper, which means you pay less tax. It literally turns a negative, the car losing value, into a huge financial positive. Okay, so the $1 million, or I guess the 3 crore question is, how much can you actually depreciate? Well, for a normal petrol or diesel car, the rate is 15% a year. But, and listen up, because this is the real game changer, to push people towards electric vehicles, the government created this massive incentive. You can depreciate an EV by a whopping 40% a year. That one little rule change is the key that unlocks this entire hack. So let's walk through exactly how this works, step by step. First, your company buys the 3 crore electric G-Wagon, probably with a loan. Now, for the next 5 years, you get to claim that massive 40% depreciation. Over time, that saves you something like 75 lakhs in corporate tax. But wait, there's more. The interest you pay on that car loan, that's also a business expense, saving you another, say, 15 lakhs. Now for the genius final move. After 5 years, because you've depreciated it so much, the car's official value on your company's books is super low. So your company sells the car to you personally for that very low price. Then you turn around and sell it on the open market for what it's actually worth, which is much higher. You pocket that clean profit, all done in a really tax-efficient way. It's brilliant. Wow. Okay, so we have traveled from the halls of Parliament and the union budget all the way to the shiny skyscrapers of Dubai and right into the driver's seat of a high-end EV. Now let's pull all these different threads together into a simple, clear, modern playbook for your money. All right, here it is, your modern money playbook in 3 core takeaways. First, the macro view. You gotta understand national policy, like the budget, to know the economic direction of the whole country. Second, the global play. Don't be afraid to look for high-yield, tax-friendly opportunities abroad, like we saw with Dubai. And third, the personal hack. You have to learn to use the financial tools that are already out there, like depreciation, smart loans, and leasing, to make your assets, your dream purchases, way more affordable. It's about making your money work smarter, not just harder. Look, these strategies, from the national level all the way down to your personal finances, they're not just theories. They are being used right now, today, to build serious wealth. The playbook is out there. It's no longer a secret. So the only real question left is, what's your next money move?